mom when she was young. Maybe you remember my mom. You remember Corina?
He had remembered when I mentioned it before.
I don't remember the.
Okay. Let's look at Lawrence Johnson.
Did I supply you with that one? That picture?
I had
You had that one?
some.
Who
Yeah.
is this?
Lawrence.
Tio Lorenzo.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's my grandpa.
Oh, your grandpa.
My grandpa. This is, you might have given me this one. This is also Lawrence sitting.
Who? Who
Tio,
is that?
Tio Lorenzo.
Tio. This is, well, you might not know Paulina. Oh, well, Grandma Taborcia. Taborcia, that's my mom, Corrine.
Oh,
Corina.
yeah.
That, you would have seen that?
And
Right?
who is this?
We don't know, I don't know. The baby. There were so many babies.
Right,
Yeah.
she took care of a lot.
She had a lot of babies. Let's see here. I'm looking for another early photo of my mom. Well, this is my mom now.
Oh.
She got older. Didn't we all?
How old is she now?
Mom is 93. She'll be 94 in April.
Okay, so he just turned 96.
Yep, they're about 2 years apart.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so she's the same age as his sister, Cecilia.
Yes.
Cecilia.
She talks about, and Teddy though was younger, right? Teddy.
Right, so there was Sister Carmelita,
Yes.
and then it was Dad, and then it was Cecilia. And then when their mother passed away, Dad was only 5. So there was a gap before
It's my mom.
Grandpa Edward remarried and then had 3 more children. So they were like a 20-year gap in age, and they have now all passed.
Oh, yeah. Mom is always trying to talk to different members of the family, but she can't get through, and it's this stage.
Well, Ronnie, his one of the oldest younger brother, he was the last to pass, and we didn't find out till the following year.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't want anybody to know.
Oh
And
my
it's
gosh.
like, how selfish is that?
Yeah, and Aunt Teddy died passing.
Yeah.
You helped find my mother's half brothers that from the Portuguese sailor she had been sold to with the box of jewels. When my mother was born, she passed away 6 months after that from TB, but her name was Paulita. And when she was 12 years old, they traded her to this Portuguese sailor man for a box of jewels. And she had 3 children, 2 boys and a little girl, but the little girl passed away early, like a year after. And you helped find Rudy and Raymond. Yep. She remembers that, and she says, he brought me back together with my family. She loves you for that. I was going to show you a different.
Well, my dad made sure that we stayed in touch.
Stayed together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd make it a point to drive to Alamogordo to see the folks.
Yeah, my mom was not happy growing up as much after Grandma Taborcia passed away. So she didn't teach us a whole lot about her family or teach us Spanish. She didn't want us to be a second-class citizen, didn't want us to...
Yeah. Well, things were different.
Yes.
He Americanized his name.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, his birth certificate is Marcial Esteban Telles.
Oh.
And so he is Marshal Stephen. And when he was in the military, they had asked his name, and it was commander or something like that. And he said, Marshal. He says, it'll look like a Marshal. What's your middle name? So he said, Steve, and so, or Stephen. So he said, Steve it is. So he would answer the phone later on when he worked for the VA as a loan appraiser, you know, and he would answer the phone, Steve, tell us. And it's like,
Oh,
you know, and that's the way it was.
wow.
And of
Yeah.
course, that's the Taya side, not the Johnson side.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Oh, absolutely. And there was a lot about Mom we didn't know until we were older. A lot older. She would talk about how she was sent to the Girls Academy, things like that, you know, but because no one else would take care of her after Grandma Taborsia passed away.
and they had done that once before with another cousin. She was little and her mother passed away, and they took her in, Eloisa or Lois, which I'm on Facebook with her daughters, and they did the same thing as they stepped up, and so he kind of grew up with some of these cousins that were almost like siblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tio Lorenzo was always around.
Always around?
Yeah. Well, Dad made sure that he took us to see the family.
Oh, you weren't in Alamogordo?
Hmm?
Were you in Alamogordo?
Well, that's where most of the family was. We were up in
In the mountains.
Nogel Canyon.
So
Okay.
Bent
Yes.
is where his dad's
by the
home was.
Indians
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
in Mescalero.
The Mescalero Indians. My mom took us
Apache.
there.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's rumored that that's what Indian blood that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, his father was was close with Geronimo's son, and in fact, Geronimo's son was one of the pallbearers for his funeral.
Mm.
And it was like when I have a friend who their Mormon son was on a mission, and I went to the Mescalero Indian Reservation in New Mexico, and I was like, that's where my dad kind of grew up. So it was interesting that he was doing his mission partly there.
And that's whom? Who was
Oh,
the
this was just a
Oh,
friend of
another-
mine who
Oh,
went
okay.
on a Mormon
Mormon
mission.
mission? Sure. Mm-hmm.
And that was just like a year or so ago. So it kind of brought up a lot of stuff, and then to find out that he was, not Geronimo himself, because
Uh-huh.
he was sent off to, after he finally surrendered, or they took over wherever he was, trying to fight off the soldiers. They sent him to a Midwest state. I don't know if it was Oklahoma, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma is where they sent him.
Sounds right.
And that's why I guess there's a lot of Indian communities there too.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we're really big here.
So
We have a lot
yeah.
of tribes here.
I don't know 100%, but Grandma Taborsia was primarily Indian, but I don't know, and that would be your grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
Grandma Taborsia, and Grandpa Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Mama Teresita.
Yes.
And that's how we knew her.
Yeah.
Because that's how Tomasita and Tibersita Olguin.
Uh-huh.
And, when you go through all the ancestry files and the census and everything, all the names are just misspelled.
So misspelled and mixed up, and I keep thinking even the years of birth, or it's really hard to trace it back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of them maybe couldn't read or write. It was all on pronunciation.
Exactly.
Phonetically spelled. Now I'm, what does he call him? Tio Leo? What?
Or Lorenzo.
Tio Lorenzo. Is it true? So he used to be a boxer, right? He used to box?
I don't know too much about, he was around, but my dad made sure that we visited the family.
Yeah.
And
Because that would have been
he'd take us there.
his
At least-
mom's brother.
Well,
Yes,
I know
it
it
would
was
be
more
your-
than once a month.
It'd be your Uncle Leo, yeah. Yeah, and so those are things we're always trying to look to find out if it's true or not.
And then, Dad, so the Johnson side is also connected to the Flores side, right? The Flores.
The what?
The Flores side, Johnson is
Yeah.
connected to the Flores side, which is very big. And that's who we really got to know.
Is that Rosa? Rosa
Yes.
Flores? With
Mhm.
22 kids?
I thought it was 19, but I have that picture.
I know.
And I probably shared it in
I
the
think
thing,
so.
and the article. And there were twins, I think 2 sets of twins.
There were a bunch.
Yeah. So that's who we got to know more. And his Taya side, and of course when we were little, the difference are just family, so.
When I was 19 years old, I moved here for a little bit, and you and Dottie would let me come to your house, and you fed me dinners, and you checked up on me, and you would tell my mom that I was safe. I was 19, 20, 21, 3 years I lived here, 2.5 to 3 years, but I would come to your house, and you guys were very nice to me, and always Mom would be worried, and I think she would call you, and then I'd get a phone call, I'm sure. Is Roberta okay?
Now, if you were 19,
So that would mean, I graduated in 82, so it'd be 83, 84, 80.
okay,
Yeah.
so I graduated 77, because I didn't know what gap we had. So
That's what year you graduated.
Yeah, we're same age.
So in 82,
Maybe it was your sister.
she was out of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, she was out of the house. I got married in 82, so then I was out of
You
the
were
house.
out of the house. Maybe it was
My
your
brother was here,
Yeah.
because he's the baby, so he's 6 years younger than me. So he was still,
He was still around.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably why
We
they
just
probably would
passed
have
that.
mentioned, I'm gonna be my mother's child. And lose mine real fast. My sister's really good, and she has now gone on the path of, although I was on Ancestry and did all that stuff, and we took advantage of the Flores doing that whole back family tree, and I've added to it, and
I
then
need to do that. I need to connect with that side. Because
yes,
there's a lot of blanks.
and you would be surprised what comes up,
Jeez.
and it's a rabbit hole.
I
get
know.
it. It's a rabbit hole.
I know.
My late husband's uncle, family friend, he loved to do that. He was adding me into the family tree, and then I was telling him what a hard time we had finding exactly where the Tejas side had come from. And he went to town and found that Diego Tejas was from Spain, because I knew that it was Spanish, but of course through the years there's been mixtures of everything. So he found a lot of information and
Wow.
gave that to me. So that was really great to have. And then the Flores did a lot of the Johnson side, and of course the the book with J.R. Johnson
Yes.
and Adobe.
Yeah, Adobe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always interested in looking at different articles that I might be able to find or stumble onto, and of course, the more people connect and post pictures onto Ancestry, then you're gathering additional information also. Because my mom's side was very, very unknown.
Yeah.
She didn't grow up very well,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I had a jumping point with her mother and her father's name, and that took me far. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, and she grew up in Chicago.
I started with my mom's side because it seemed to be so many people, right? And so then I was helping my dad and doing my dad's side. His dad was English and his mother was German, and so I never crossed the ocean
Mm-hmm.
ancestry wise, but I think my mom's side is much more interesting, much more flavorful
And
in
yeah.
stories and the
And a lot
number of
more.
people. Oh my gosh.
And a lot more.
Yeah.
Especially when you have the Johnsons, and you have the Flores, and you have the Ortegas, and you have, you know, so
Did you did the DNA test too?
I did.
I did too. There's a lot of Spain in mine
And
from mom's side.
right, which
The
is
roast.
interesting since it was his dad that had the Spaniard background.
Okay.
So I have only done so much. In fact, I should just, when you set up do you have an account with Ancestry?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And try to share the, it's my tree,
Mm-hmm.
which would include, you know, both the Johnson and,
Mhm.
and that. So I should invite you.
The Spain side must be from not the Johnson side, but Paula Rivera's side. The Rivera side. Right?
Oh, yeah, okay. And I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, and one thing I found, of course, the story was mom was 6 months old when she had TB and passed away, but she was actually 2 years old when she passed, but I think she was given to Grandma Taborsi when she was 6 months old, or baby,
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't want her around the TB, but there's a lot of missing pieces and stories to that, and mom's not remembering all of it very well, so. Mm-hmm.
He used to go on, and you know, we talked about it when Sister Carmelita would come. She would know a lot of the history,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you say, I'm going to record it and do all that, and then I didn't. But you know, she was a wealth of information, and just going by what others have said, but they're all getting older that have, you know, if it wasn't passed down to them, the information.
I have an old Bible that my mother was given, and there's a lot of names and things in it. I need to open it back up. It's very fragile.
Mm-hmm.
I need to open it back up, take some pictures, maybe do some tracing back of what I can see and find in there and the names.